Hello, everybody. It is the night after Uncensored 1996, and we are live with Monday Nitro. It is coming to you from the Gainesville O-Dome in Gainesville, Florida, in front of 10,450 people. We have a lot of stuff to cover from last night's show, and of course, this is monumental. This is a monumental night in our WCW series because this is the first night in which Monday Nitro is a 2-hour show. It was 1.5 hours beforehand, but we are adding the extra half hour because of how popular we've gotten, because of our growing roster. And we'll have to see how the first 2-hour show goes. We'll have to see how well everything plays out. But if you haven't watched the Uncensored pay-per-view episode yet, you definitely should go back and watch it. Otherwise, you're going to get spoiled. Short story spoiler, though, the show was really good. Nevertheless, we're going to dive into the action here tonight. We've got a pre-show match happening in which Alex Wright defeats Glacier in 7-11 by submission with an STF. No, Glacier's not a part of the WCW roster. Not planning on doing that whole thing with Wrath and Mortis and Glacier and Ernest Miller and all that. I'm not planning on doing that storyline. I brought Glacier in simply because he was a local worker, and there was a slight part of me that just wanted to see what kind of performance he could do, but it was mostly just because he was a local worker. And he puts over Alex Wright in a dark match. Alex Wright gets a 43 in ring performance. Match gets a 40. That's really all there is to it. Glacier, if he got popular, might perform a little bit better, but I'm not really interested in signing him on. He's mainly a mixed martial artist who is already like 31 at this point. Not interested in bringing somebody in who I don't have who I would have to build, and by the time I get him built up enough, would be close to his mid-30s by that point. Not really interested. Especially for someone who just does a bunch of mixed martial arts stuff. So, not interested right now. Or not interested at all, but he put over Alex Wright. Alex Wright getting a victory in that street fight last night. And getting the victory on a dark match here. Not on the main shows, but still getting some victories recently, which is pretty impressive. Anyway, that is the only dark match of the night. We open up our main show with an action-packed opening segment, as I have listed here. That gets a 94 rating. Let's go. So, Sting, still the WCW World's Heavyweight Champion, comes out to the ring. If you missed that at Uncensored, you missed what ended up being a 26-minute match that should have got a better rating than it did, but I screwed it up. Nevertheless, they kayfabe had a fantastic matchup that Sting won by submission to retain the world's title. Sting comes out to the ring and he says that last night he heard the Stingers going crazy for him. Sorry, I was trying to find my water. He heard the Stingers going crazy for him. He was super excited and had one hell of a bout with a longtime enemy of his in Ric Flair. But at the end of the night, he still retained the championship. So, he's out here because now that he's defeated Ric Flair, he needs a new challenger. So he's looking to the back for anybody to come out to challenge him for the World's Heavyweight Championship. And that's when Steve Austin comes out. And the commentators, as Austin comes out, kind of recaps that he defeated Arn Anderson at the pay-per-view. And Austin comes out and says, "Listen, Sting, I've got issues with Flair. I've got issues with Flair. I want to take care of those. But if you're looking for a challenger, I want a shot at the world's title as well." And Sting goes, "Well, you did lose the number one contender match that allowed Flair to get the title shot last night, but it's a new month. We're in April now. It's a new month. we're moving forward, and it would be an honor to challenge or to have you challenge for the title. And before they could shake hands, Ric Flair comes out, and he is just irate. He is not happy about anything right now. And he says, "You are going to let that little punk ass censored challenge for the World's Heavyweight Championship. Don't challenge for the World's Heavyweight Championship that should be around my waist." He starts freaking out as Flair does. And Sting goes, "Flair, you tapped out last night. It's not your belt. You tapped out last night." And Flair's like, "That is not the point." He's still getting irate about everything. He's like, "That is not the point. Everyone, it was simply one night. The Nature Boy was not able to he was tired from taking all of the ladies of the area to the Space Mountain before the matchup. He was maybe a little bit tired, and he may have burnt out a little bit of stamina beforehand, but that's not going to happen again, because Ric Flair deserves another shot at the world title." Whoa! And he's just going crazy, and Austin's like, "Ric Flair, you need to shut the hell up." That's essentially what he says, and the crowd pops. And of course, then Flair just loses it even more. And while Flair's having this little mini freak out comes Randy Savage. And Savage comes out, ends up kind of in a different corner. So at this point, Sting and Austin they kind of moved a little bit closer towards a corner of the ring. Flair's kind of in his own corner at this point, losing his mind, beating up, or like kind of punching the corner every now and then, that kind of thing. Like, he's losing his mind over here. So Randy Savage comes out, and he kind of stays in another corner. He says, "Listen, last night I defeated the Taskmaster, and I need to get revenge on the Giant, but I would truly be suffering from madness." Hint, hint. "I would truly be suffering from macho madness if I didn't take the opportunity to throw my name into the ring for a shot at the World's Heavyweight Championship. I have been waiting for months to get a rematch for the title, even though I couldn't get it done against Ric Flair. Even though I had struggled recently, I found that edge. I've found who I am. I found who the Macho Man is, and I want a shot at the belt." And Flair's just kind of laughing at the idea of Savage getting a shot at the championship at all. And then you hear some other laughter, and out comes the Taskmaster with the Giant. And Taskmaster is just laughing about the idea that anybody would get a shot at the world title instead of the Giant. And Sting goes, "Well, Giant had his shot last month, and he lost. He lost at Super Brawl." And Taskmaster goes, No. He did not lose at Super Brawl. He officially won that matchup. It was by disqualification, because that lunatic in the ring ran in and it caused a disqualification, saving your butt. Therefore, he did not lose. In fact, he's still undefeated here in WCW. So you need to actually give him a fair chance at the championship. And he says, "It doesn't matter if Savage defeated me last night, because at the end of the day, the Giant is not the Taskmaster. The Giant is an unstoppable force who you," pointing at Sting, "had to depend on him," pointing at Savage, helping him out to keep your championship." And as all this is going on, Flair's still kind of losing his mind in the corner. Savage kind of jawing off the mic with Giant and Taskmaster. And Austin kind of just standing there looking annoyed about all this, because he just wanted a shot at the belt. Out comes Cactus Jack. And everybody's kind of a little surprised by this. Kind of a little surprised by Cactus getting involved in this, I guess. And he comes out and he says, listen, everybody in that ring has a beef with each other. They all have a gripe with each other. Austin and Flair want to go at it again with each other. Savage wants to go at it again with the Giant, all that stuff. But meanwhile, I've just been standing around waiting for opportunities. I've been coming out when I have been scheduled and competing in this ring and defeating anyone and everyone who's gotten my way. I have proven that I am deserving of a championship opportunity here in WCW. But we continue to watch the same people time and time again get that opportunity. Austin, I do respect you, but you, sir, you were the United States champion for a while, and now you've been involved in the world title. You haven't had a shot at the world title officially, but you've been right there in that thick of things this whole time. Flair, you were the former champion, and that just pretty much states itself why that you've been involved in the championship for too long. Savage, you've had your opportunities in the past, not to mention the fact that you have issues with the Giant. Giant, you had your opportunity recently, and you couldn't get the job done. You can blame it on Savage all you want, but at the end of the day, you still couldn't get the job done. But someone like me, someone like Cactus Jack, bang bang, hasn't had a shot at the world title this whole time. So Cactus Jack wants a shot at the title. And Sting kind of steps to the middle of the ring at this point. He's like, all right, listen, this is enough of this. I've heard compelling arguments from everybody here. Compelling arguments. I was given the opportunity by Mr. Bischoff to determine who would be my next challenger for the title. So we're going to do it this way. Flair, you lost last night. You're not getting an opportunity. And Flair loses his mind at this point, which is going crazy again. However, the other 4 individuals out here who have made compelling arguments will compete later on in a Fatal 4-Way matchup in the main event to determine the challenger for my World Heavyweight Championship at Spring Stampede. So, it's going to be Steve Austin, Randy Savage, The Giant, and Cactus Jack in a 4-way to determine the next challenger for Sting's world title. I know it took a little bit to go over the segment here, but I thought it was a pretty great one. Really kind of talked about a lot of the stories happening, kind of helped get Cactus Jack involved in the world title picture here, even if whether it's a short-term thing and whether he doesn't win tonight and he goes right back down the ladder, whether he wins tonight, gets the opportunity, whether he doesn't win but stays in the upper tier, got him involved in it, and kind of covered a lot of the other stories going on. So I thought that was pretty good segment there. A great way to kick off our first 2-hour episode of Nitro. After that, we get a video package with commentators kind of talking over different highlights of Uncensored last night, including the United States Championship ladder match, which turned out to be a great classic match that Eddie Guerrero was able to successfully obtain the victory in and retain his championship. We also get highlights of Randy Savage's victory. We get highlights of Austin and Anderson. We get highlights of the world title matchup. We also get highlights of the tag titles changing hands over. Of course, last night, Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader became the new tag team champions. So that was a big thing from last night as well. After that, we have a television title matchup happening in which Meng defeats Conan in 9:44 by submission, getting the Tongan death grip locked on to Conan, who did put up a pretty good fight in the matchup, but could not withstand the power of and brute animal force of Meng. Meng wins and makes defense number 2 of the television championship. 61 rating for the match, 70 from Meng, 55 from Conan. Pretty good matchup. Pretty good first match for the 2-hour Nitro here. After that, we have Dustin Rhodes speaking with Gene Okerlund. He says that last night he's been getting asked. He got asked by a bunch of the fans heading into heading in to the arena tonight, why him and Big Bubba Rogers were seen fighting with each other. And truth be told, it's because Big Bubba Rogers, and right as he's kind of about to explain what happened, all of a sudden Rogers attacks him and starts beating him down. Security has to try to come out and get involved and separate it. This gets 68. Rogers decides to beat down Dustin Rhodes before Dustin can explain why they were fighting last night, and now they're fighting again apparently. So, no idea what's going to end up happening with that. We get another brief little backstage segment where the Wyndhams are seen talking to Mike Barton again backstage. Not sure why. We saw this last night at Uncensored, and now we're seeing it tonight on Nitro, so not sure what's going on there. Still can't hear what's actually being said between the three men, but gotta imagine it's something being said here. Why, if they've shown it back-to-back nights like this. After that, we get a promo from Johnny B. Bad, who says that he's getting interviewed by Gene Okerlund. He says, Gene, I am kind of disappointed. I couldn't get the job done last night against Meng. I'm definitely feeling really sore. Definitely feeling really hurt right now. But this isn't the end of the bad man here in WCW. We're still, the fans of the bad man are going to continue to have great moments to cheer for. Bad man is going to continue to do bad things here in WCW, and looks forward to getting more opportunities. He says that he held the TV title respectively for a pretty decent amount of time over, and maybe he wants other championships at this point. Maybe he knows that Eddie Guerrero, the United States champion, could use a new challenger. He and Eddie have had some brief run-ins in his time here in WCW, and could it be some entertaining matches there? He's not against the idea of potentially down the line being a challenger for Sting, but he says that there's a lot of other individuals here in WCW that he also wants to take on and prove himself against, to have those opportunities to try to be, to try to climb the ladder here in WCW. So, nice little promo from just kind of highlighting how he's still kind of beat up from last night, but that he's looking to the future. After that, Harlem Heat call out the American Males. Kind of expected the segment to do a little bit better, but all right. Anyway, Harlem Heat call out the American Males, and they actually, they actually tell them, they're like, hey, last night you gave us a pretty good matchup. We'll admit that you guys did bring it in the ring. We're still better than you. We're still, there's a reason why we're still former tag team champions and you guys aren't yet, but you guys did bring it. You guys did kind of back up some of what you were saying. So we'll show you respect, and they kind of put their hands out, or put their fists out over it, get a little bit of a fist bump from the American Males. But as they go to leave, Bagwell gets the mic and says, listen, you guys, we appreciate getting the respect from you. We appreciate getting that respect. However, we had one match, and as you just admitted, we did pretty good. Had a pretty good showing of ourselves. But we want to take the opportunity to learn from that match and compete once again. So if you guys are up to it, we're making the offer to go at. We're asking for one more matchup from you guys. Harlem Heat kind of mouth off mic that they're gonna think about it, and then they leave. So potentially going to see a rematch with these two teams in the near future. We'll have to see how that plays out. After that, we get a matchup in which Vader defeats Mr. JL in 8:19 by pinfall with a Vader bomb. 69 rating for the match. Nice. Vader with 71, JL with 45. Bam Bam Bigelow was out at ringside during this matchup as well, as the commentators are kind of talking about Bigelow and Vader's tag team title victory last night. This was just essentially a way to get Vader a victory. Not that they haven't had a lot of momentum, but it was really just a way for Vader to look really strong and dominant. There really wasn't any sort of storyline advancement with this match. After that, we get the investigation by the Blue Bloods continuing. Earl Robert Dean and Lord Steven Regal are back in their locker room talking as Squire Dave Taylor brings them tea. And they're kind of going over their notes. Regal's going over his notes that are in a notepad that he's kind of flipping through, and Eden's looking at a bunch of pictures, apparently. When Eric Bischoff comes walking into the locker room and says, "All right, you guys, I've seen that you guys have been doing this investigation for weeks now. What have you found out? What can you give me? What can you give me that states that you weren't responsible for the attack?" And Regal's like, "Well, bloody sunshine, we haven't come to our decision yet. We haven't found the perpetrator yet. We haven't found the assailant yet." And Bischoff goes, The police can get cases like this solved in days, and you're sitting here taking weeks at this point." And Rico goes, "Bloody hell! Do you honestly think your policemen can actually get any sort of assault case solved in days? Are you bloody mad?" So he's kind of putting down American policemen, which of course the crowd in attendance boo. And Regal goes, "We will present our evidence in due time once we have the evidence, but we don't have the evidence at this time. We're still working the case. So how about you leave our bloody locker room while we try to get all this solved?" And Bischoff just throws his hands up and walks out as Regal and Ian go back to studying their notes and whatnot while sipping their tea. So just kind of continuing this investigation thing that I'm really enjoying as it goes on, but there's the way to do that and also get Eric Bischoff on TV again. Haven't really been using him too much in this, but wanted to get involved here. So after that, we get Rikishi Fatu having a quick interview about last night getting a victory over Chris Jericho, saying that he wants to put the whole issues with Jericho behind him now at this point, wants to move on, and says that he knows that there's some interesting things playing out here in WCW. He says that there's a certain big bad man holding the television championship now, and maybe he wants to kind of direct his attention towards that. So it kind of hints that he might want to actually be crazy enough to challenge Meng for the TV title in the near future. Not sure how well that's going to work out for him, but he's hinting at possibly doing it, so we'll have to see. After that, we get this is just a brief little promo backstage. Medusa and Jacqueline are talking, kind of showing each other a little bit of respect after their matchup at Uncensored last night, and then they kind of shake hands. Dean Malenko and Chris Kanyon are there just because they manage them. They're kind of associated with them, really. Jacqueline and Chris Kanyon, and then Medusa and Dean Malenko, kind of all talking to each other, that kind of thing. There's not really anything of importance off of this, but I just wanted to kind of have Medusa and Jacqueline kind of shake hands and show a little bit of respect after that matchup that they had. After that, Diamond Dallas Page is he's out on the stage with a microphone. He doesn't have Gino currently with him because he apparently wants to do this by himself. And he says that last night Eddie Guerrero cheated to win the United States Championship. He cheated because he had to do whatever it possibly took to get the United States Championship around his waist. Well, congratulations, Eddie. You finally have it. It is finally yours after my months-long reign of holding the United States Championship. You finally have it, but you cheated. You had to cheat to defeat Diamond Dallas Page because Diamond Dallas Page is a goddamn megastar, and you had to cheat to take that championship. Well, you know what? Fine. I'm going to move on to bigger and better things. I'm coming for that world title, Sting. You better watch your back. As he turns around to go leave, he sees Ron Simmons coming out from the back. Simmons coming out for a matchup up next. And the two actually have a little bit of a stare down with each other. Some words are kind of mouthed a little bit without the mic being able to pick it up too much. But Simmons walks past him, kind of almost bumping shoulders with him as he walks past, and Page looks upset about this. as Ron Simmons comes down to the ring for his matchup. And that match gets a 57 as he defeats Shawn Stasiak in 8:25 by pinfall, the Dominator. 62 from Simmons, 31 from Stasiak. Paul Orndorff was at ringside managing Shawn Stasiak, but Stasiak could not get the job done against Ron Simmons here tonight. After the match, Simmons goes to start talking. He's about to be interviewed by Gene Okerlund when all of a sudden he gets attacked from Diamond Dallas Page. He gets attacked from behind and beamed down as security come out to try to chase off Diamond Dallas Page. So another attempted interview tonight that gets broken up by somebody. Only this time apparently Page has some frustration to let out on Ron Simmons apparently. I get 77 by the way. Gene Okerlund has a gimmick that's getting stale. Well, that's good to know. We'll have to change that in the near future. After that, we get the Horsemen, because as Gene is walking up the ramp to try to head back to the back, he gets grabbed by Ric Flair, who's coming out with the Horsemen. Flair has not calmed down 1 ounce since the promo to start off the show. He is still absolutely livid, still losing his goddamn mind, threatens to chop a bunch of people in the audience at this point. Anderson has to pull him away from one person, actually, who he threatens to get in the face of. Flair's losing his goddamn mind. Okerlund tries to get away, but Benoit stops him from getting away, and he turns back. And Flair says, "God damn it, Okerlund, this is not what the Four Horsemen are supposed to be doing. This is not the way that the Four Horsemen are supposed to be here in WCW." And he turns to Benoit and Pillman, and he says, "You two are supposed to be better than that. You were supposed to be the dominant tag team here in WCW, and you lost the belts to those guys. You lost the belts to those buffoons. You lost the belts to a guy who wears a stupid mask on his face and some guy who's all about fire on his body or whatever the hell is wrong with him. You lost the belts to those two. What the hell is wrong with you?" He's losing his goddamn mind, and Arn's trying to calm him down, and Flair shoves a finger in Arn's face and says, "And you were supposed to take care of Steve Austin last night. You were supposed to get the job done against him, and you failed. You failed to get the job done against him." And then he looks at all three of them again, and he says, "And on top of all of that, you failed to help the Nature Boy regain his World Heavyweight Championship. What the hell happened to the Horsemen last night? We went 0-3 in our matches. We are not supposed to be doing that. We are the excellence of professional wrestling. We do not lose all of our matches on a night like that. What the hell is wrong with you guys?" And he storms off. Arn goes after him. Pillman and Benoit kind of have their heads bowed a little bit as if they just got scolded by their father before they head off into the back area. And Okerlund's just left trying to figure out what the hell just happened there. Flair's irate, losing his mind, going completely crazy. Who the hell knows what's going to happen at this point? With the main event that's upcoming too, who the hell knows what's going to end up happening at this point? After that, we get a brief little video from Eddie Guerrero, who says that he is still hurting from last night. The ladder match, he had a hard-fought matchup, and even though he heard the comments by his opponent earlier, Diamond Dallas Page, he says that despite that, he actually thought that it was a really good matchup that he had with Page. He says now that he is done with that rivalry, done with that issue, he is moving on, and he says next week on Nitro, he's going to be there in the arena to defend the United States Championship against anybody who wants a shot at the belt. So kind of issues a little bit of an open challenge for next week's Nitro for the United States Championship. Gets an 83 rating for this. Good stuff there. And then after that, we get the main event, which gets an 87 because there wasn't enough selling. Yeah, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it, all things considered. In an exceptional matchup, Steve Austin defeats Cactus Jack, Randy Savage, and the Giant in a 4-way matchup in 1334 when Steve Austin pins Randy Savage with a stunner. That's right, he pinned the Macho Man Randy Savage. Granted, this was after Giant just absolutely, completely, just absolutely knocked the hell out of him at this point. But essentially, end of the matchup, Giant just absolutely big boots the hell out of Savage to the point that Savage is in absolute daze. And Cactus comes running over, does his Cactus clothesline to the Giant, sending both men over the top rope to the outside. Right at that moment, Austin hits the stunner on Savage, gets the victory, and Steve Austin is going to be the one challenging Sting for the world title at Spring Stampede. Gets an 87 rating for the match. Good stuff there. Afterwards, Giant and Savage are fighting with each other in the aisle. Ric Flair comes running down. He's gonna try to try to take a cheap shot at Steve Austin, but Sting sees him coming, and Sting and Austin end up chasing off Flair, sending him to the outside, causing him to continue going absolutely berserk on the outside. And Steve Austin sees the championship laying on the ground or on the mat over and picks it up, holds it, turns around to give it to Sting, and then as Sting goes to grab it, Austin kind of holds on to it. So there's a little bit of both men holding onto the belt, kind of tugging at each other a little bit. Both kind of look down at the belt, look back up at each other as the crowd's going crazy, whatever. And then Austin kind of lets go of the belt, and Sting kind of nods towards Austin before he leaves the ring, kind of letting Austin stand tall in the ring by himself at the end of Nitro here tonight to an 87 rated segment. So Steve Austin is the one challenging Sting for the World's Heavyweight Championship at Spring Stampede. The show itself gets an 87 rating. I will take it. The show was looking kind of rough towards the middle, but towards the end, we definitely set the place on fire, including the 87 rated main event and post-match segment there. Good stuff for sure. 2-hour episode of Nitro in the books, 87 rating. I will take it. Can't complain. We will have to see how we did against Raw here in a second. But yeah, hopefully you guys are, hopefully you at least got some of the answers you might have been looking for with this episode of Nitro. Diamond Dallas Page apparently seems to have some issues with Ron Simmons now. Not sure why. Simmons just walked past him for his matchup, but apparently Page didn't take a liking to that. Harlem Heat and American Males are going to potentially have a future matchup against each other, depending on if Harlem Heat decides they want to face them yet again. We've got Sting and Austin set up for Spring Stampede for the world title, while Savage and Giant are clearly still having issues with each other. We'll have to see if Cactus can remain in the world title picture at this point too. We'll have to see who answers Eddie Guerrero's Open United States Championship match challenge for next week. In the ratings, we easily beat Raw. 500, a little over 500,000 viewers more. And this time we had it in 87 compared to Raw's 81. So even though we lost when comparing WrestleMania to Uncensored, we did, show rating wise, we did beat Raw. We did beat the night after Mania, as their main event had Bret Hart and Razor Ramon defeating Psycho Sid and Yokozuna. Hulk Hogan defeating Big Matty Smalls by DQ. Sure, why not? But yeah, interesting stuff there. But end of the day, we got the week victory against Raw, and we're gonna have to see where things continue to play out with WCW. We're gonna have to see who upcoming challengers are. We're gonna have to see the big question, honestly, on my mind is we're gonna have to see if Ric Flair can even calm down for next week, because he spent pretty much this entire show absolutely irate, nothing going right for him, losing his goddamn mind we're going to have to see if he can even calm down for next week. But that is going to do it for us. Thank you for watching. Definitely appreciate all the support that you have for the channel and for the series. And we will catch you guys all next week for another episode of Monday Nitro.